for what has been happening to you, particularly the very idea that you should have to sit there and answer hypothetical potential, in somebody's imagination, crimes that may take place at some point, and wouldn't that disqualify you if you were a murderer or if you were a rapist? Unfair, and I'm embarrassed for this behavior.
That was North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer apologizing on behalf of his Democrat colleagues for their attacks and inappropriate questions to Pete Hegseth during yesterday's confirmation hearing.
Yeah, that's right. But despite multiple interruptions, tense exchanges, and accusations from his personal life, Trump's pick for Secretary of Defense survived the confirmation gauntlet and now appears headed for confirmation. For more, we want to welcome in North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer. Senator, great to have you on this morning. You were very kind to apologize for Democrats' behavior during that hearing. Can you talk about what you saw in that room yesterday and how you think Pete Hegseth did?
Well, what I saw and what embarrassed me on behalf of the institution really was the questioning just before mine, where remembering that so many of the accusations against Pete have either been completely discredited or at the very least unfounded. And so absent a foundation, what they tried to do was say, yeah, okay, so this didn't really happen, but if it had, would that disqualify you? Well, what a crazy question. What a crazy line of question. It was desperate is what it was, and they appeared desperate. And I just felt like, come on, you guys, you have 7 minutes of your life to ask him serious questions about the future of the United States military and his role as a potential Secretary of Defense. And they chose to go down this, yeah, but if it really was true, would that disqualify you? Knowing that it really isn't true. I just thought it was silly on so many levels. But I also thought it was really ineffective, which is what surprised me the most, is that they didn't land a single blow. With regard to how did Pete do, I don't think that he just survived it. I think he excelled through it. And that at the end of that day yesterday, at the end of those roughly 4.25 hours of him taking the incoming, and by the way, in case people hadn't noticed, these witnesses generally have, 3-ring binders of answers for questions. He didn't have so much as a postcard. Everything he said was from his heart and from his head, from his experience, from his depth of understanding, and from his philosophy. It was very refreshing. I think that at the end of all of that, if you were to do a survey of all of the people in America that watched that they would say, we need to get him in the Secretary of Defense's office as soon as possible.
Yeah, truly a warfighter and not a politician. So obviously, as you said, Senator, the attacks didn't work. But more importantly, soon after the hearing, he won the critical backing of your colleague, Republican Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa, who announced she would be supporting him. That pretty much sets this thing on the course for confirmation.
It certainly does. Certainly he'll be confirmed out of the committee, which is a very important step, obviously, because many of the other members of the Senate, much like me, when I'm not a member of the committee that has jurisdiction that's doing the questioning, you lean on those folks. And in the case of Senator Ernst, this is a warfighter herself. She was a National Guardsman. She was a commander deployed in the Army. And of course, she's been a fierce fighter for women's rights and against sexual abuse in the military. Her credentials are impeccable. She's earned them the hard way. And so her opinion matters more than most. So I think you're exactly right. I think this sets Pete up to get every Republican vote for sure in the Armed Services Committee and probably sail through. And my hope now, guys, is that we do it quickly. That the Democrats don't hold this up, that they don't use the tricks of the trade, if you will, to deny the United States of America their Secretary of Defense at a time when the world's on fire. And we basically had a Secretary of Defense AWOL for the last 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that the hearings are continuing this morning in full force with Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi. But she might face similar treatment to Hegseth. Who knows? Take a listen to Rachel Maddow talking about why she got this nomination.
In a job where the main reassurance to the nation is supposed to be that, justice will be served and the law will be upheld without fear or favor or deference to anyone, Pam Bondi is one of 4 of his own personal defense lawyers that Donald Trump is trying to install at the top of the Justice Department. And the way she appears to have earned this nomination is by defending and participating with Trump in some of the most repulsive things that he has done in public life.
Appears to have earned. She did earn the nomination. Just about 15 seconds, your response to that.
Well, thank God Rachel Maddow has zero influence over the affairs of the country. She's an angry whatever she is, and she has a platform to spew her hate. But the reality is that Pam Bondi has to correct a ship that has been going far, far partisan at the Department of Justice for the last 4 years. She has to correct that. She has to remove the partisanship out of the Department of Justice, which is so deeply embedded right now. And I look forward to her confirmation as well as Patel Cash's at the FBI, so we can correct that course and eliminate politics, eliminate partisanship, and eliminate lawfare from our Department of Justice.
Yeah.
Big job ahead, Senator Kevin Cramer. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you.
Well, there have been 2 major wins for women in sports over the last week. Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita joins